Hello, and welcome back to Clay's 50 Film Challenge! Yeah! My name is Clay Johnson, and today I am continuing my 50 Film Challenge with film number 25. That's right, 25. I'm halfway through the list. But like I said, it's film number 25, and the film is Father Goose. Another suggestion by Diane. Thank you again for that. This is a World War II romantic comedy from 1964. It stars Cary Grant, Leslie Caron, and Trevor Howard. This film is basically, it starts off with Cary Grant, who is seemingly some guy he's an American who is basically, it's like I said, it's during World War II. He lives kind of off in a series of islands and kind of just keeps to himself, pretty much just lives on his boat and drinks, and that's pretty much what he prefers his life to be. And then he is kind of pulled into the service by Trevor Howard's character, who basically, like I said, enlists him to watch the coastline of a specific island chain, just in case the Japanese are coming to attack. He's supposed to keep an eye and then report back what he sees. And honestly, if the film had just been the back and forth of him kind of being grumpy but kind of being forced into this this kind of military service, and because even before things escalate to the point that they do, he starts to slowly kind of accept his responsibilities. And I also really liked the back and forth between Cary Grant's character and Trevor Howard. Honestly, like I said, if it had just been that, I really would have enjoyed this film. I really liked the first 15 minutes of it. But eventually he gets called to another island to help another shore spotter. And when he gets there, instead of the shore spotter who he was going after, who we learn actually died before he got there, he is greeted by a woman played by Leslie Caron, and I think 8 little girls. And honestly, in my opinion, from there the film just got silly. It just kind of, like I said, it's a romantic comedy, and when I look at the title, Father Goose, it makes sense. At first I was like, well, maybe it's just because the code name that they gave him was Mother Goose. I was like, okay, maybe that's all it is. But I was like, oh, okay, of course there are kids in it. And I'm not saying that just because kids are in it, I didn't like this movie. I like a lot of, family films. But it just, to me, kind of brought the film down to a point that, number one, I knew from that point what was going to happen. Just knew it. And it kind of lessened the film for me. We start to find out things about him and things about her, and they slowly start a relationship, blah, 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 blah. And honestly, it didn't help the fact that when she and the children first came on the scene, I honestly found them more annoying than anything, because I mean, I will say Cary Grant was probably my favorite part of this film. I already said I really liked the back and forth between him and Trevor Howard, and had they just kept that up, I really enjoyed that dynamic. But when we added the kids into it, I mean, like I said, right away, she is trying to enforce rules and basically refusing to allow him to be himself, and they steal things from him and all of this kind of stuff, and it's played as if we're supposed to laugh and think, oh, aren't they precocious, isn't this precious? And honestly, I was just sitting there going, let him be. It was just really annoying to me. And so I just didn't feel like the film pulled off what it was trying to do, but at the same time, it wasn't. I still kind of enjoyed the film. It definitely wasn't my favorite. I think it could have been better had he just been left to his own devices. Because honestly, there was more. I wasn't entirely sure where the film was going at that point. And so I would have loved to see that develop rather than, like I said, the moment the woman and the kids showed up, I was like, okay, so he's going to become a father figure, and they're going to end up falling in love even though they right now hate each other. It's just kind of obvious. What this film really reminded me of was a kind of a watered down version of The African Queen. I don't know if you are out there and you've never seen that film. I would say track it down. It's really worth seeing. It's Audrey Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart. Also takes place during World War II. And it is a similar dynamic, but it is much more dynamic. It's much more interesting, in my opinion. This is the family film version of that because they felt like they had to add children. I mean, The African Queen is from, I believe, 51, and this is from 1964. So apparently, though, this was based on a short story. I couldn't really find all of the information about that. I found one little snippet said that it was based on a short story, but did not give the name of that short story. But so apparently it was an original idea, but it, to me, is very reminiscent of, like I said, The African Queen, which is a story that I actually like better. But I'm going to go ahead and give this one, I'll give this one a 2. It's a low 2 for me, just because it wasn't my favorite, but I did enjoy it to a certain extent, and I thought that Cary Grant was actually pretty good in the film. So I'm going to give this 2 snake bites. Yes, 2 snake bites. Yeah, I mean, I would say if you want to see the family film version of this, I mean, both films were produced during the production code, so they're both family friendly. But if you want to see the one with children, watch this one, and if you want to see a more dynamic, interesting version of this film, check out The African Queen. But yeah, so another interesting thing about this film is that this was the penultimate film for Cary Grant in film. And what's even more interesting is that the very next film I'm going to be doing, film number 26, Walk, Don't Run, was his final film. So I will be looking forward to doing that. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Once again, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you agreed or disagree with my assessment. And I'll see you guys later.